we tend to have an emotional attachment to our money. No, really? Is that true? And that can be costly. I have an emotional attachment to my money. And I tell clients a lot of times that I look at all my clients' accounts almost on a daily basis except for my own, right? Because I do have an emotional attachment to that. And you can make the wrong decision at the wrong time for the wrong reason when you let fear or doubt drive it.
Yeah, fear is the biggest emotion I think that a lot of people deal with there. And fear can make you do really bad things at the wrong time. That's an absolute truism. We could spend probably the rest of the hour talking about that, but we'll forego that to be sure that we hit a couple of other things. There is one other emotion that I think comes into play here, and that's comparison or competition. My buddy got this much money or this rate of return. Why didn't I get that rate of return? Well, his situation may be completely different than yours. He may be taking twice or three times the risk that you're comfortable taking. So it's really not about a competition. It really is about solving your problem. It's not about the market and what the market did. It's what your economy requires, and being sure that your plan fits you and not necessarily your buddy. I think that's an incredible point that a lot of people miss, and they get caught up in that comparison mindset.
Well, I think we're really built around a microwave culture these days. We want everything immediately. And it's really about the tortoise and the hare. If you actually go back and read that story, who wins the race? It's the tortoise. It's a slow and steady. So there's a lot of discussions around that water cooler that I think people actually just make up the returns that they're getting in some cases, to make it look like they're doing a better job than they are. But, if you've got a plan and you're making progress toward those goals and everything, then you're winning the race.
I can just see, I know this happened to one of my clients years ago. I think at work, they all kind of conspired against him, and they all made up stories about what kind of return they were getting. Yeah. And he was just like, I don't understand. I don't understand why they're getting on it. And so you start looking at, and it wasn't even possible to get the returns that they were talking about in the current market environment that we were dealing with back then. So I think they were just kind of gigging him about that. But that's what can happen, that you can feel terrible about your situation. That's what comparison does. You experience that on social media. Go on social media. Well, that guy went on that vacation, and he's got that kind of car. And you don't know what kind of debt he's got behind that either.
Well, you think about that comparison, and sometimes maybe even if that rate of return that is quoted by their friend or their buddy at the water cooler is true, well, what time horizon are we talking about?
Right.
Maybe they got it really good in 2021. What do they get in 2022? Because they might be taking on more risk than is appropriate. It's like the gambler who always tells you about the winnings that he has at the casino, but you don't hear from him when he loses, right?
Absolutely. I've heard a lot of people, they won the lottery, won 10 or 15,000, but how much did
they
spend
to
get there?
Well, and I think one more thing on this point before we move on, too. It's not always just emotional attachment to our money when it comes to investments. You think about making the right financial decisions. Maybe we really want our kids to not have to pay for college, and that's an admirable goal. But if you're doing that at the expense of your retirement, we would say that's the wrong financial decision.
Yeah, you've got to take care of you first. It's the old adage of, if you get on an airplane, they tell you, if the mask drops down, put your mask on first and then help the person beside you. Because as Janet is fond of saying on this show many times, if you do not take care of your own retirement, what's going to happen is that you're literally going to end up living with your well-educated children during your retirement, because they'll have to be taking care of you. Nobody wants to do that.